my god, thank you for that. Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we are here taking a look at VERIVERY's track entitled Get Away. This is a Patreon request, so shout out to Jay for the request. Very excited to look at this. We have some good stuff here. We have a dance practice, we have a performance version and music video, as well as a live performance that has all of the members represented, because I was told that we are missing one for the original promotion. So you guys enjoyed that when I did that with Justice, with Dreamcatcher OT6 versus OT7 comparison, so we may simulate that here. Without further ado, let's get started.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, right.
It's the love shot. It's a genre, man. Ooh. I'm assuming the empty chair and the empty bed are for our member that's not here. Oh, I've always wanted to do that to a cake. I like the chorus. I don't know if I've seen anybody eat grapes like that, but live your life. That whole phrase, like the rhythm of it. Ugh. Yeah. Whoa. Wow. That was really cool. Especially that chorus is so captivating. Da da da. Oh, I got goosies just from that. Okay, so I normally watch dance practices first, but because we're doing a different comparison, I thought it'd be better to do the music video first, and then we're gonna take a watch. Here we go. Ready for it. So we also have dancers involved as well. That's cool. Someone probably assisted him there. my God, thank you for that. I'm not used to people doing an intentional, like, fold down like that on the heel at all. That's cool. Oh, yeah. Woo. Wow. Oh my God, I love this structure. This could be oh my God. This may be my favorite very, very choreo. Because I like the song too. I mean, I like most of their stuff, but I really like the structure of the chorus on this one. The verses are sick. Oh my God. Oh, that makes me, oh man, that was so good. That first verse, wild. Oh, okay, performance version right here. See, do they have subs on this? No, they don't.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, right.
So we have 4 members that travel up. 1 member reveals off the back. 1 was their first feature. Oh, gosh. It's like, look, choreo looks cool. You didn't get to see that fold down of the heel, which I think is one of the coolest parts of that whole little section right there. And that's the downside of performance versions, is it sometimes takes away from the beauty of what the choreo is when you have a fixed point perspective of it, which is in lives and concerts, you're gonna see that for the most part. That moment right there was really cool. Such a surprise. And I love being surprised like that. Yeah. Get away. Gravity. I could listen to songs like this forever. Just switch out the groups. Like, I love this song structure. Way! I will also say this, because I know we're missing a member, to my knowledge. I mean, we have 1 more video to watch to really verify this. I'm not really going to touch a lot on the balance of it. That section was cool with the boom, 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 the traveling, the rebound from people. I'm digging the navy versus black contrast. It's very subtle, but it's easier for us to like subtly clock them. Also, the dancers are in masks too, so that makes it easier to see your members. Get away. feeling so sweet. Na, 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 na. I'm trying to like sing the song too. Ba-da-na-na. Boom, boom, do, 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 boom. Get away. Ba-ba. Yeah, performance version's dope. It's cool. God, I love that dance practice though. Yeah. Yeah, whew, it's so full. Very well done. And they maintain the energy throughout the entirety of it. Okay, I was on Road to Kingdom. I've seen a couple of their tracks because of Patreon requests, which has been really fun. But I cannot tell you really who any of them are by name, with the exception of maybe the leader. It's because I saw his face more on the behind the scenes stuff on RTK. So really just overview, because I don't know how helpful I would be doing like a comparison, because this one's moving, you know. It'd be if we had the performance version, no dance practice, it would be better, but they don't have dancers, and so that's a lot harder to, you know, really be able to decipher in comparison. But in overview, very simply, all the parts where it felt potentially imbalanced were fixed, essentially. Like, it felt like, oh, our puzzle piece has arrived. We've been able to seamlessly integrate him in there. I don't know when he pops up and has his moment compared to others. So maybe in the future I'll be able to do that. But just overview, in comparison to those, live vocals sounds great. But we're gonna mostly primarily focus on the dance practice because of the usage of dancers, and look, it just feels so different, right? So here we go, from the top. So initially you have somebody at the top. That's your first feature. He goes shh. You have 4 members on the outside doing a pretty great job on the diagonals, and then they do a nice contrast, that kind of breath, that kind of match what's going on in tone setting. You also have movement going on right here. I like the different choices of our dancers holding up our feature. That's really nice. And I like how they hinge it around. Very interesting to do that on a lift like this in comparison to just having it sway. I like the scooping because it does require more leverage to do it, so you don't see it as often, but I really like it. Normally it's just still, or you see like the upper body move. You don't see the lower body move as much, which is cool. So that's nice. So I like how they're moving back. Notice for this, it does tie into what we see in the bridge, I believe, where they're all, you know, kind of clumped up and they're kind of pinned down with the other dancers surrounding them with guns. So it's cool to already have that established here. A really great, I mean, if you think about it, choreography is similar to music videos. So if you watch Jordan Orm, like myself, he has mentioned this before, and so I will have the pleasantries of extending and verifying it on the dance side. Your story, setting and establishing your concept, whether it's on a stage for a performance or in choreo in isolation, you want it to where it doesn't cause confusion unless that's the point of it. I would say Huang Xiao from Street Dance China is a great example of having a story that's not quite all put together into the last 2 8 counts, and then everything makes sense. That's very, very difficult to do, but very well done when it's done well, which he has been able to do time and time again. But here, you know, when it comes to with the K-pop side of things, I do think establishing some baseline of, okay, we have guns involved, we have a sense of we're being hunted after or hunted towards, things like that, and who are your sides, the dancers and the members. That can be really helpful for me as a viewer, regardless if I know them or not, kind of have an idea of what is this about, you know? So that's really helpful because they want to tailor this to their fans. but also to the general public. And I know they have a lore and there's like something much deeper here, but I kind of got the gist of what this video in isolation is. So I like how we have one of them right there up top and somebody else who's still on the ground. I think they all do this to complement to freeze. And then they all very nice and quickly transition out. And I like the fact that it's equal in the transition. We don't have everybody moving one way, but those that broke down, they crossed over, which allowed there to be some sense of like hustle and bustle, but it's mirrored to a certain degree where there's still balance in that transition, which is nice. And then you have the subtlety as they slowly come up from the ground, and then you have 2 more members enter the group chat. We love that. And then right here, boom. Straight out the gate, the crispness of the reset is really nice. I know VERIVERY is known for synchronicity, so a lot of my feedback does tailor to the mechanics of being very clean. And they're very, very clean. And then the dancers, it's always an interesting thing when you watch synchronized groups dance with backup dancers, because you're able to kind of look, are the dancers holding their own, or do they have that same degree of crispness? Or can you tell there's a difference? I would say whenever you see backup dancers with 17, when their whole group, Songong's a fantastic example, where you can tell that there is something about when 17 dances together versus 17 dances with other dancers. It does register different. Both are cool, but there's differences, which is really interesting to talk about. So here, the dancers did very well on staying together with VERIVERY. And yes, they're doing the choreo right, but it's the texture and dynamic in which you do the choreo that allows it to give the essence that we see here that made it so captivating for me personally. So I may 0.75 it because it is so syncopated in some moments, and I think for the courtesy of trying to capture everything, I'm going to go about it that way. So we roll it down, do-do-do, so we do a nice little head, moving it using the hands, traveling it down. Notice they place those hands out to cause a nice heel toe. They're placing their weight more towards the back, and what's nice about it is by bouncing through that back foot, boom, they kind of lift a little bit. It allows us to reset and create some heaviness on the bass that we hear. And at the top end, we have some syncopated arm isos, boom. An iso, it's not, the concept of an isolation is having a 1 point be still and everything else kind of move, or it's operating in isolation from everything else in your body. Because this right here, isolations help you justify fixed points. A fixed point is a concept, and isolation is a technique, is kind of like the best way that I can word it in my current scope. I may refine that later on based on my own research or based on our commentary, but that's kind of like why some people make it confused on, Jess, isn't that a fixed point? Technically, a lot of times, yes, my head is a fixed point, but I'm doing a head isolation in technique. So that's the kind of, overview. I don't know if I've ever explained that, but I know that I could get confused if somebody was wording it that way. So I hope I provided some clarity without further questions. But from here, I like where the bounce is causing a rebound and allows them to be able to have more freedom of that foot to lift, which is what we see. Also, the fact that I can stop this at any point in time, and we have the general gist of everyone's range. There's the same degree of blurriness, tells you that their range is on par. Range is how you get from A to B, not just the point A and the point B of a move. So that's really cool. I like that. Boom, the crispness of that. So many picture moments before we do our transitions. They're so fun. I like that little heel, and then we turn to our next movement quality. I like how my feature stops on the first one and everybody else keeps going to match our music. Really nice, and it keeps me seeing him integrated in the choreo with everybody else, but he deviates as a feature normally would. So that was very fun. The direction of this from a choreographic front is phenomenal. Really well done. They utilized the dancers so well, probably as well as you could for a concept like this. This was fantastic. I like that part where they notice there's a subtle pull that happens from everybody as they all drop, and then we do this little squat to the drop. We crawl. He's walking backwards, so it's a direction feature. So not only is the levels different, so we can see him, but also the direction as well is super fun. So we're hitting 2 different planes of dynamics, essentially, which is really nice. I love that. And I like the different directions from everybody, except for half of them. They keep going. So it definitely creates some sense of like weaving through. And so it's not just a single string of movement where we're integrating depth through seams of our directions, and that was really nice. And so they look around. I love that tension, and so everybody's rotating their head, and it's very complimentary even though they're going different directions. Really nice. Different directions meaning that my feature's facing front, they're facing the back, but their head all move the same way. That means they learned it the opposite direction. So that was cool. And then from there, how it connects. Shun, woo. Yeah, and that oh. really nice, where they take it and they allow the arms to fold over to reset the weight. They go and they reset here. We're about to get the really cool part. Honestly, I'm really sad the performance version really didn't give this justice here. The pull through, this right here, come on. Ding, 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 with the head downcast. Guys, in my experience, I'm not used to seeing people like do this with their heel in that way really at all. Normally people try to fight to, it's either already folded down or they lift it in their transition. You don't see it as like its own moment. Yeah, and then from there they use that to help assist this prep, to use their weight to have them roll, except for my next feature. Now, my previous one, he had to drop really quick in order for him to not stick out in this transition, and so he did pretty good. It wasn't anything crazy. I have it on 0.75, so pull up. The shoulders are nice. He did just some nice shoulder isos. It tailors into the shoulders, but there was a different choice in texture on the ground, so it's nice that there's some commonality between his feature and what we just saw. Then this little partnering moment between our other member, I'm assuming member, not dancer, because he's not wearing a mask. Yeah, and it goes fold, fold, drop, so that was nice. Iso, iso, drop. Very fun. Other people walk on tempo. I would say out of most groups, I always appreciate it when we get to walk on tempo, and we're seeing that a lot here. So thank you very, very for that, and all the dancers. It shows you care is what it feels like to me. So I like the fold down, which is nice, and then they take it, traveling the energy through the arm onto the knee, and then you have this little falsetto moment, and they made it really nice and airy in the arms, and so it gave the impression of we call that like a wind style, as what Jay Smooth, one of the key figures of the waving community, side note, so, and a dear friend of mine. I love getting to like talk about my waving companions, because it's the style that I care about so much. So when I see it in choreo, we always got to talk about it. But with noticing just the breath of it, it gives the impression, for me, it's sometimes it looks like a ribbon being thrown in the air, but there's like this airiness of it, and there's no density of it like you would see in like a liquid wave, where there's more force behind your transfer from in the legato through the joints. So that was like a very long-winded, basically to say I really liked how the wind style based wave, the airiness of it matched the falsetto, which is more the vulnerable, sensitive, higher notes that a lot of times guys sing. Well, girls also sing them too. But I like that progression. Notice that it goes knee, shoulder, over, boom, and then we rebounded it over to transition through. And we take it up, we swing it down, which is really nice, into our transition off, so I like that choice. So it created a contrast for our next small group as they travel forward. Really well done on that. Accenting through, great air time. They hit, and then they fly it for 3 to 5 business days, and they come back down. And then they create tension as they go back in. One of my guys, he's dropped, new feature. Now this part looks really cool. It did feel more full because of our 7th member. I think he was hanging out right here. Right? Yeah, I think one of our members was moved over, which I think was really cool. But this was nice. So I like the opposition where one of them is grabbing in front and one is grabbing behind his arm. So it definitely feels like we have the same point across of grabbing the arm symmetrically, but it's one in front, one in back. So it just feels a little bit different in the setup, which is fun. I like the rotation, using the shoulders once again, and we have just different levels, and they have your feature up, but they're rotating it around, which I think is super fun. The lift is nice. So he takes it in every little moment that he does his throws, his accents. You can tell with the hair. Hair gives away a lot of info. You can see that each one's kind of like popping up as an accent. So it's not just him. He's controlling those choices from everybody else, but not really. It just gives a nice little moment. Hey, I'm a member. I'm here, which is nice. Then we do those isos once again, but we don't fully drop into them. We just have them as a fun moment. Then it goes G-D-D-D-D-D. That syncopation into how he finishes. You're not expecting someone to thread themselves through that opening at all. If anything, I would assume that they would probably go around this way or even hop over. So sliding through is really fun, and I think it caught me off guard every time I saw it, which is a really good choice. It's cool because you have to trust that my guy right here is going to be in the spot he needs to be in for that, and then he has to make sure he lands it the first time or that visual gets lost. So he nails it, allows the picture moment to be established before you have one of your members slide through. Really, really fun. Oh, we love it. That was nice too. So he does a slide and you throw it around, nice head to get everybody reset to the choreo together. That little tension body roll is nice. Then we take it through, we twinkle those fingers in, which is also nice. The rotation, they rotate from the side using the forearms, and then we push the energy of the rotation up to the wrist. So it goes from forearms to wrist. So that's why it feels more subtle, and it does feel like we're pulling something off of our wrist. Is that a lore thing maybe? Was it something that was in the music video that I missed? Probably. There's always that chance, which is okay. The pull through, yeah, that does feel like you have like a ribbon or something bound to you that you're pulling off. So there's that. They go back in, that whir. I like that choice, like a gun. So having something that hits back like that does remind us of whenever you pull a gun, it pulls back. So that's why that was a really nice choice. And here it does have a similar kind of bondage movement, which is why movement can be very helpful in providing more adjectives or vocabulary to the wordplay that you're going for, or the intention that you're going for, right? So if you want to showcase resistance or you are being controlled, you're going to have your hands in these type of bound positions like you see here, because of the visual imagery that we are exposed to in more the Western side of culture, or in the media side, where when somebody is restrained or held hostage, which a lot of this from the get-go, there's guns, there's a lot of like tension, that's going to be something that is helpful in that. So from there into the body roll, I like the hit there, and then we reset on the shoulders. That little get away, we double it up, really nice, and it makes that da-da-da, and it just feels complimentary. And they had the bass, doom-doom, to reset, and then we do a nice little shoulder as we create a subtle hinge, which is super fun. I love those moments. Yeah, so they rock it back just a little bit. Instead of just hitting it just in one plane, they're pushing their body in a direction to give it a little bit more oomph, and it's so subtle. I really love that. Bringing it over. Yeah. And very interesting choice when they say gravity. They're using this kind of, what is it? Best way to word it, I would say, whenever you think of waves and the moon, the gravitational pull, I learned this from Jesse Sykes in one of his concepts, talking through, pushing and pull waves. If you think about the relationship between the moon and the water, gravitational pull is what sometimes causes these waves to happen. I do know tectonic plates have been a thing. Please don't take my word for this. Go be curious. And if you're somebody that studies why waves wave, for me, I'm a waver, but in movement quality. But just this choice right here, it just ties into when I think gravity, that's what I personally think of. But I'm a lifelong learner, and I'm willing to learn new things, especially those where that is your field. So I am curious about that. But all that to say, I like the choice, that gravity, because just the relationship the water has with gravity. It definitely has, there's movement involved in it, which is cool. So that's nice. That's so the whole dee-dee-dee-dee, and then do a nice little heel-toe, heel-toe. People could say that's James Brown. It's not really a funk track, so I'm not going to give them quite that, but we'll just call it a heel-toe with a little bit of swooshing of the weight shifts between the legs of the leg that is still out and the leg that is heel-toeing. So that's nice that they're going from side to side. It is tricky to get it that fast, so good job on them on that, and they're establishing a weight to travel it up, and that actually helps get you momentum to do it at this speed. So that's why it's important to not just isolate and not use your upper body, because your upper body can help, lift and lower in your groundedness in your weight shift, so you can pull off certain illusions, which is that right there. So that's cool. Yeah, so sweet picture moment. Oh, really nice. Yes, we noticed that we have a missing gap here. Like I said, I'm not going to touch on those because they are an OT7, and when they do promote this in day to day, it's going to be as an OT7, and so it's circumstantial, nothing crazy there. So they go heel toe, heel step, heel toe, heel step. I like that choice. That da 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 da. Very, very interesting. Now, every time I say very, I now chuckle to myself because of who the group's called. With the head ISO, yep, oh, da 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 da. So they want to make sure that they're keeping their arms from avoiding dropping down to match with what's going on. Like, the part of the coolness of it is the stoicness of the upper body with the chaos of the lower body. So they do a pretty decent job of that. And then you see with the dancers too. And I like the bounce, bounce, bounce throw on the I'm getting weak. I love the angstiness from our feature there. Super nice. Then there's your boom, get away. There's this nice little waving tie-in once again, but they're guiding with the elbow instead of the wrist. A lot of times people use the hands and the wrist to really showcase that, but that's locked in. You can't use that. So all of this is connected by the elbow. So I like that, going from one side to the other. Boom, get away. And it goes dun, dun, dun. I do find it interesting that we made this choice because there's really not a sound, to my knowledge, that they're hitting on that unless I didn't catch it. So let's actually go back to the music video and we're gonna see if we can hear something there. Get away. Okay, so we're gonna have to slow it for, whoa, no, Jess. There's not a sound there. That's interesting that we decided to keep that, even though I do see it again in the second half of this phrasing of movement. I don't know why we went for that. The timing is great. It's just, it definitely makes it harder on everybody to remember where everything goes and to get your timing right because there's no sound to justify it. I don't mind it though. Like, it doesn't bother me at all. Way. That ba 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 ba. So I guess we're just doing more shape play, where we bring it down, fold it up, bring it over, and then the accent on the tail end is really nice. So I think part of the illusion is, look, we can be together without having a sound for you to follow because it ups your complexity and your difficulty. Because most of the time when you have a sound, and you just have to have a really good musicality head on it. But that was really nice. Yeah, I like the subtlety here as we have the transition. Then we have the away. I think there's a sound here. Oh no, there's not. No, just kidding. And I like this part where they set it up to go into more of a subtle angsty run with the pulls. The turn is nice. I like that. Running from me. They're pointing to themselves for me. Then they go running from you. So are they pointing forward on that? I think that'd be so cool if they did. Oh, they're not. That would honestly, if I was in the room, I'm like, oh my God, if we could, what, running from me, running from you, and on the bottom, they're pointing to you. Oh, that'd be so cool. But I really like the choice though, where they go running from me, then they travel it down to make it a different moment right there by the hip, which is super cool. Just the good is like, hey, go away from here. It's kind of what it feels like. I'm holding them off, go away from me, is what that gives energy wise, which is so cool. Then they bring it in. Shh. This was really cool. The verse setups are sick out of all of it. I love these verses. That was nice too, that blah, da, da, da. Everyone has to have the same degree of force in their choices because you don't want one side to have a ton of reverb and the other side to be more staccato and sticky. So everybody had to match their textures very well in order for that visual to come to life, not just with your feature, but everybody involved. Everyone's arms are nice there. I like how he throws him, reestablishes it. Another person gets involved on the side. And then it's important that he did start it over here, travel it over here on who my outlier with our feature was. So our eyes are naturally over here when it goes into that bass that we're seeing right now. So we go here and then here and then here. And I like how everyone, you know, bounces within it with a lot of force, but not a ton of reverb on the tail end. Reverb going from like big to little because we don't want anything like super residual. Just more like a slap in the face kind of hit, if that makes sense, which is nice. So new feature pops up, which is nice. It goes da-da-da, pulls away, and then you have everybody walking over here. Do I always want a good tempo walk? Yes, but I understand we have our eyes set somewhere else. So he is walking through. I like how he takes it. Subtlety of the hand, he rotates it. The heads of the dancers surrounding him are also complimenting that choice. He brings it in. I like that tsh on the crispness, and then they turn to the back. I like this part with the, you know, just a subtle little drag up to just the chest and the neck. Nice, kind of feels some sense of like bondage or like, you know, no control, right? When someone's doing that to you. But then we go, face it to the back. We have another formation setting up over here on stage right, which is nice. Goes, yeah, yeah, they walk away. And then you have these guys peel out. I like the little melt away from the, from my feature, and then you have my guy meld down to complement that, which is cool. So there's always a level that's being respectfully showcased in this. It's not just everybody doing the exact same thing the whole time, which I did give it a general note to Very on a couple of their choreos where it did kind of feel we were entertaining the unison side of dynamics a little bit too much, in the sense of the degree of complexity they were showcasing, because it's all about balance, not just in your formation structure, not just in your staging, but in the dynamics that you choose to put in a choreo, because you have to think with K-pop, it's about features and how you choose to feature them. And you want it to where it's easy for the eye to know who to look for on a fixed cam whenever most of the promotion of it is going to be done that way for your audience. And so going back to all of this, I do feel like this one showcases the most dynamics of level changes, different, like there's more complexity on the music too, which is probably why I'm naturally like more enticed by this track in comparison to some of their other ones. But I really like their other ones too. Great moments, but this one entertains some really cool creative elements of how we're choosing to recoil or reverb or getting in and out of our setups. And the dancers really, I mean, it's a risk you run with dancers because you have to use them that to where it's effective, and they definitely are. So that's really nice. A huge compliment to this. I like him sitting there. It does remind me of the very beginning, and I like how my guys that are next to him are catering to that in accent. And then we have another feature hanging out with another dancer. Other people are coming on stage. They have to make sure they're not distracting. I like the da-da-da, and then notice the fold around. It's the wrist leading, which is very similar to my other feature that kind of left this moment and everybody else did it to the other side. So I feel like we're kind of paying tribute to the first verse, but in a very different wrapping or packaging, which is super cool. I like the throw there, that da-da-da-dum, really nice. Did we do a heel toe, heel toe? Let's look. But that's the same sound that you would see them do that heel toe on. It was cool. Melts are nice. So that right there is cool. Everyone's having some degree of connection with the arms, whether they're touching each other or they're establishing their own position. Everyone's making a slightly different choice, but they're all complementary. Your feature's the only one that's up and in the center, which is super nice. And then everyone goes through to up. So there's a lot of shoulder accents. I'm here for all of it. Yes, shoulders all day. And how he goes and he travels his energy from stage right to stage left. You have these pop-up of accents that go on throughout. I think there's 4 parts that happen. Really like that. Super cool. And then they go break, and so they go head first, and then they move the shoulders. And that's why it feels different than just a reset of the head. It's a head, and then they let the shoulders kind of deviate and go a different direction, which made it feel like we're breaking down, which is cool. Cool stuff. The little angsty pull of the chest, and then we all throw and have this nice moment of the fringing as they all drop. My only guy who's not looking down at all is, of course, our next feature, which is cool. Head rotation, he goes here, he grabs, he does a nice little throw, a reachy throw. He has his moment here, boom, boom. Our dancers are facing the back except for our members. And then they drop on the bass, so that was cool. And the dancers, they look back, then everyone looks front. So that was a really nice, subtle way to do an add-on. So technically, the dancers are kind of operating, hitting different parts of the music. They tie in with Very right there on the boom to the front. Then they take it, and everybody responds to that. Melting. Makes sense why that's most replayed. So it goes, so they technically already accented here, and then they created more full movement, or they just, what is it? Do they speed change or they accent? So my guy in the center, he used his shoulder. They all used their shoulders, but they went up, down, and then they used the chest to go around in some tension. Now they're about to match the dancers. Very nice way to get your dancers back in for a unison section. Like, this doesn't bother me at all because we showcase such beauty and complexity throughout the rest of the choreo, so I get to appreciate their unison more. And that's kind of like my underlying point that I was making in their other tracks, is I couldn't appreciate their choices as much because I was so saturated in one dynamic choice, and I wanted to see what the choreography looked like in different setups, in ripples, in cannons, in levels, in add-ons, those types of things. So this is fantastic. Yeah, that getaway. So it's more isolated. We're not doing this, breathable wave going on with the elbow. Da, 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 with the drop. Super cool. That was really nice. I did feel like we were doing a straight up lock-in. Yeah, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, kind of. But it's just more of a heel accent. Arms shoot up, bring it back down. And I like that we're using the momentum of that to create force that travels up to hold it into an isolated lower half footwork section. Really nice. And then pull it in nice on the toe heel. That felt like a bedrock there. Yep, gravity. And so we had our arms up. We bring it in different formation. I like the pull out of the tension, opposition of the chest as we allow those arms out. Really fun. Yeah, and then coming from you. So that makes sense. And this setup does remind us of that section where they were doing a lot of their fixed point angles and traveling it up with no sound. And so I see why that existed, because it does help tailor in other movement qualities, which is what we see there, because they did it to the other side. So that was cool. Yeah, boom, boom, so sweet. I like that, where they pick up the leg. And then their subtlety. What did they do there? Was that a chest ISO? Let me see. Oh, so I'm assuming it's shoulders, because that's kind of the go-to that we're seeing in their accent points, or their nice little moments that they have. They use the shoulders. So I'm assuming it's not chest. I think they wanted it bigger, so they're going shoulders on it. But it can transition through the chest, though. That was cool. Diddy, overhead to drop, and then have a nice little hunched over action there. Then it goes, I'm kill. Yeah. Really nice with the weightiness of it. We're always here for a good weighty section. Unison with everyone. Get away. Notice they're pulling it. So they drop it with the bounce, and then they let the ISO of the chest pull it to complement that arm. Really cool. Way. Same thing there. Yeah, just preference. That's cool. His accent there, boom, really nice. The subtlety from everyone going back in. I really like my feature right here. I think his feature out of all of them really captivated me every time I've seen it, and it feels the most consistent. So would I give him MVP? Possibly. He just sticks out to me more today than, I don't know if I've noticed him before, but I like his feature moment here. It's really nice. Run, the pulls, I like the little twinkling in. Everyone turns except for him. And I like that running, so he has his accent running from me, so it feels like he kind of grabbed them and pulled them back through this twirl that he did with the arm. It goes running from you, so they're justifying the actual his vocals, and he doesn't have to do that, because if you realistically think about doing what they're doing and singing it at the same time, it's not very practical. So I like the delegation of, hey, justify the running from me, running from you, with the dancers and the members, and not the singer, and let the singer sing and just pull more tension in the space. I think that is just as productive, and it sets your group up for more success when you perform it live. So that's super nice. Yeah, I'm just a getaway. Yeah, I'm assuming, sometimes it's like a getaway, so you could also see it like a gun. See it like a gun. Here, you could also be here like I'm in a getaway car, but this still feels like, hey, go away, go that way, the opposite, let me protect you. Feels like that. Then we have this moment here. Then they're walking forward. Is it a lore thing? Y'all let me know if what I'm noticing about this is a lore fingerprint. But anyway, they go down. I like the pulses of that, where they're traveling more towards the outside. You have your member moving forward. Yeah, the shot. They bring it back in. I like the pulsing. They pulse from the outside, and then they're pulsing to the inside. So that's why it feels, it's more condensed, and it feels subtly different, even though it's the same dynamic. That's why. It's different directions. Yep, and they pull out, boom, and then they walk. I really like this, where your dancers are moving outside, members move inside. It's a fun transition. And the connection right there is fun, ties into verse 1. The slide through right here, I like how he chose to slide his leg around, makes it a fun moment here. And then they have this little, it's not, more reverb than just a pulse. And I notice difference whenever we talk about pulse versus a reverb is a pulse is like a heartbeat. It's consistent, right? And so it's something that doesn't really change, but in a reverb, it goes from a loud movement to a softer movement. And then with a rebound, it's like a one and done, boom, boom. Like like a pivot, rebounded turn, something like that's a good example of that. So I like that the dancers walking to the outside. I like the semicircle horseshoe effect, creates this opening for the members to still easily be seen, no problem. I like that, taking it through, boom, This right here, this is a movement that I am kind of used to seeing when they do it, not very, but just in general, when you see an accent and you have a hand placed on the thigh, that is an option that you do end up seeing people do, which is they take it, they kick it out, and then they bring it right there to the rest of the body, and then they reverse it to have the other leg come up. So I like that choice a lot. And that was, however, an interesting coming out of the move you normally don't see. Going into like a pistol squat variation was super cool. Then they go, I like our features there, and then we end up seeing this swipe on the lower half of the leg as we swipe it around to drop down. Then they end up doing a thread to complement with the hands. They turn through to switch up, and then we do these walks, which is very similar to verse 1. So I like that. But even notice when we're choosing to go into movements that are similar to what we've already seen, it is showcased either in a different direction, different members, or a different setup. I really love it whenever we're intentional on that. It's a subtle, smarter, not harder, but also it allows your viewer to really see what are the important key elements of it. Things like that. It's like the crawling, you know, we're showcasing resistance, bondage, that kind of stuff is kind of your key takeaways. And it's the same thing as if you're reading a book and you're noticing that there's a common word, verbiage, or phrase that keeps getting brought up because the author is really wanting to get that particular word ingrained in your mind. So they're going to repackage it in different ways. It's kind of like that. So that's nice seeing that here. So this right here, they have their gun, and I like how they have their shoulders up and they really have their gun up. Now, if we're being real, I've talked about this many times, but we'll share the courtesy here. When you hold a gun like this, well, firstly, this is where you would hold the gun with the trigger. If you hold it this way versus its proper form, you have a way higher chance of jamming your gun when it fires off here, because the gun's not meant to be held that way because of the gravitational pull. It's going to cater it more towards where the barrel is. It's not going to be set up to where it can go exit wise the way it needs to. But if you want to be cool and test your luck, go for it. You know, I'm not going to stop you, but notice they have their hands out. They have this protective, like, hey, stay together, and they're lower too. So they have a defensive stance. They have an offensive stance. So I like that. And the tension of it's really nice. The power being on tempo really helps us feel the pulse of the section as well. So they throw. Very nice little feature reveal. He peekaboos literally through the gap of the space. They drop down. He comes up. Look at the cleanliness of this add-on of tension. So he pops up first, and then those next to him, and then those next to them, which means that probably the people in front are going to be next. Let me see. Does that happen? No. The answer is yes and no. Everybody comes up out of that. So that's nice. You can itemize that as much as you want. You can do that per person, or you can do that by group. So here they did it by who was a single person, and then they built it up with more people. That's kind of the best way to do it if you want to crescendo or go from soft to loud in sound, or to build to a climactic place. You want to also create more people or have more people involved so it feels more full. It's kind of what a lot of people opt to do, myself included, when it comes to add-ons to your final destination of your final course. The throw through, I like that pulse, which is nice. And then we have our feature moment. He comes up, he drops down, everybody's here, boom, do. So we're puzzle piecing our courses now. Get away. I like that, where the sound drops out and you have the subtlety, get away. And then from there, they travel it up. I love the isolated body roll. Oh, we're here for it. They travel it through, boom, dee. They look over slightly as it enters into the elbow. Fantasy. That's fantasy. Got it. Da. Yep, so some of our dancers are doing the heel toe. Some of our guys are not really doing it. I mean, it's fine. I mean, we're about a solid 3 minutes in at this point. I think we can be okay with them not doing a heel toe in this one moment when they're all matching range. Our focal point is not really quite there like it was the first time. It's more so just the power and fullness of their projection that we're seeing in the upper body is what it looks like here. Feeling so sweet, same as what we've seen before. Also, what I noticed in the music video is one of our guys did not cross his arms in this part. He actually had them uncrossed. Now we can also chalk up dance practice versus lives versus performance videos and music videos. Music videos, you're going to have, well, I'm assuming performance and MV were shot at the same time, but sometimes whenever you don't have a performance version for a choreo, you tend to learn the choreography not in its entirety until after the music video is filmed, and then you learn all of it for your promotions, for dance versions or whatever. So in this case, I'm assuming they kind of had a pretty good idea, but they were able to refine it more here in comparison to the music video part of time, which I think is absolutely fine and it looks great. We love it. Da 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 da. Yep, heel toe, heel toe. Let me actually like mechanically see what this is. Wow, that's actually more complex than I realized. So they're going heel, they switch off. So they're alternating their feet. You think it's just the front foot. It's not. It's the front, back. Is what they're doing. Da 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 da, da 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 da. And they're going alternating between the heel and the toe on it. That is so cool. If you watch my front guy right here, I may have to go 0.5 for the sake of this point. No, that's way too slow. Okay, 0.5. Looking right here. Da 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 da, feeling so sweet. Oh. But da da da. Yep, so it goes front, back, front, front. Front, back, front, front. Yeah, I like that. That's really cool. I'm a fan of that. That's cool. Filling me up. Wait, the dancer's creating a different level, reintroduces this movement compared to just the members, then the members and the dancers, and then it's still the members and the dancers, but levels are integrated. Say, yep, same thing there, and I like the speed change on that. They slide through, they come up, dun 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 dun. They all have a gun now. Boom, boom, and they drop it out. Get away, boom. Dropping it through, really nice on these choices. Of course, you have that little pull out with the leg, and then we have these syncopated rotation of the torso, taking our arms to complement what we've kind of already seen earlier in the choreo. Pulling it up. Yep, coming for me, so it's talking about me. Then you, pushing the energy out, so it's me and you. I'm telling you, anytime with your hands or your arms, they share a lot of information on who is talking to who about what, which is nice. Boom, dun dun, get away, and they bring it through, and they finish with a nice boom reset. Oh, goodness gracious. I don't think I've had I don't know if I've done a 0.75 of Very Very. I've done it for a couple other groups, but when it's really syncopated like this, it's good to do because we'll miss a lot of moments if I don't do it. But wow, this was fantastic. It's such a pleasure to be able to look at this. Jay knows what they're talking about in the recommendation, so we thank them for the fact that we had the privilege of watching this today. Woo! Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I had mentioned, I've seen quite a few of Very Very's tracks. I think O and Trigger, just at the top of my head. There are others, I do feel, and I saw them during their entire time on Road to Kingdom, full episodes and analysis for each challenge. Now my feeling, because 2021 I believe is whenever the live performance was showing, good chance this could be around that, maybe post Road to Kingdom. I don't quite know. Maybe Jay told me and I just forgot, so I'm sorry, but this was really well done, and I think they did, out of a lot of groups, they definitely improved in each challenge. They Very Very to Road to Kingdom was Icon and Legendary War for me and how I was viewing their sets. So if you're very curious about my perspective on them in that front, Patreon's perfect there. You can buy the collection if you just want to see the Road to Kingdom stuff, or you can look at getting a membership or doing subscribing to that, and you'll be able to get access to everything that I look at, not just Very Very. Once again, my name is Jess. Thank you once again for watching all of this with me. Jay is awesome. We thank Jay once again for the Patreon request. I love being able to do and explore different groups every month, and I wouldn't have been able to look at this as soon if Jay did not contribute the way that they have. So thank you. I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.